And here we go. Hi, I'm Sylvie from HR.com, and I'll be your webcast host today. Thank you for joining us for today's webcast, Total Wellbeing for a Better Human Experience, sponsored by ENI and presented by Jean Raimondi. This webcast has been pre-approved for 1 HRCI credit. Please be sure to attend the complete webcast in order to receive your credit. Throughout our webcast, please submit your questions using the Q&A tab on your controls, and we'll do our best to answer them. And it's now my pleasure to turn it over to Jean Raimondi.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, we'll get started here. And I realize this is a 4 to 5 type virtual presentation. So I'm going to make sure I end early enough so we can get some questions in, but definitely not past 5 since most of us, I'm sure, are working from home. And yeah, we're going to look at today the total well-being for a better human experience. I want to talk about well-being, and I'm going to talk about how to use your employee assistance program as a possible platform for that better human experience. I do want to say before I start too that I realize there's a lot of increased variables and stress due to the pandemic, and I do want to say that I know the HR field, been around it for almost 40 years. And I want to say that I realize that the human resource professionals out there that are listening are under an increased amount of stress as well. And the type of well-being approach for their employees is important, as it should be for yourself, to take care of yourself so you can better deliver that experience. Recent study I looked at actually today, 90% increase in human resource executives mentioning they're under stress, and then 47% of them said it was dramatic. So not that it's not funny, but at the same time, we have to realize we need to take care of ourselves to better deliver the experience for our human capital and our people. All right. Okay, I have this. I got to start, of course, with a little bit of a funny joke here. It must be nice having a job where you can work from home. Again, assuming most of us are at home. And of course, when you take a look at what that really results in, working from home brings in a whole new set of variables, as we're all aware of and have been for the last almost a year now. A lot of that and those variables do boil back to HR. A lot of the unprecedented approach to, not working in the office and having your human capital remote has driven a whole new experience and a whole new set of variables and a whole new level of making up a lot of what we need to do for our human capital as we go. So as much as this shows, some of the variables that we deal with from the home experience, we do know that it's important for us to constantly flex to see how we can best, help our employees be their best. And a well-being approach is something that can be used. So here's the agenda we're going to look at quickly here. I'll do a little introduction on me. I know some of you listened to our earlier chat when we came on, see where I'm emanating from and so on. I'll also go over what I want to term just a little bit what we mean, the human experience. I want to talk about benefits today and tomorrow. Of course, with the pandemic, a lot of the ones for tomorrow have been driven very quickly to the surface for today. I'll talk about human capital and kind of almost a reminder that we have to always hold in the forefront that human capital is our competitive advantage in whatever we're doing, delivering our service or product to our consumers. Human capital is what drives that ahead. I'm going to talk about architecting the total well-being approach with an employee assistance program. I'm assuming most of you have that and have that in place. So there's ways that you can shape and work with that to make a difference and offering that from a total well-being standpoint. And then, of course, we'll leave, I guess the target is to leave about 10 minutes at the end, 10, 15 minutes for questions and any type of summary we can work with. So, okay, to start with, again, my name is Jean Raimondi. I'm the founder and CEO of ENI. I have published a book, I believe this was back in 2014, 2015, called Beyond Benefits, really about benefit integration and how benefits really need to work together as one instead of kind of siloed on how they've been offered pretty much, throughout the history of benefits and organizations. And I am working on a second book. Well, let me start with this first. I established ENI in 1983. Of course, I was 16 at the time. No, I can hear you laughing out there. And I have to get that dubbed in laughter like they do with the NFL games for the crowd noise. I think that'll make a difference. No, that's not true. But I started E&I in 1983. Basically worked and been in human resource offices throughout that time. Of course, attended tons of human resource conferences and sessions and all kinds of connections from SHRM all the way on up. I have published a number of articles and magazines and different publications I'll mention in a minute. My next book I've been working on the last about a year and a half here. It's called Future Proof: The Human Experience. It really came from the idea that it was future proof the employee experience, and we talked about that. It's really more, I think, about a human experience, which really does lean more into the total well-being approach. The longer I wait, I believe I'm going to have to change the title to HR's role in future proofing the life experience. And I'll talk more about how I think it's really about that. And it's really about not just work and life, but just about life in general. Like I said, I was on the SHRM National Panel for Technology and HR Management for the last 3 or 4 years. We really, of course, looked at a lot of the tech that's weighing in heavily on the HR industry. We had a lot of great people that we worked with on a panel of HR executives across the country. And it really was a big learning experience and a lot of really hands-on connection to the technology and its impact on human resource today. I have on here HR Technology Conference, attended the last 5 years. Actually, I attended the last 5 years of that on site. Last year, it was, of course, virtual. It was in October. This year, it's going to be virtual as well. I did attend many of the virtual sessions and worked with that. That worked out quite well. But I have gone to consistently a lot of that connection of technology and its impact on the HR world and how it can be used. And of course, the constant change that weighs in with something along that line. And like I said earlier, I published articles in HR Tech Outlook, Benefits Pro, HR.com, and Workforce EBN magazine, and so on. So it's HR and human resource, something that's very close to me and I've spent a lot of time with. And like I said, I understand the enormous amount of change and responsibility and challenge that has come with, of course, the current situation we're in with the pandemic and a lot of the remote working. The human experience. Employee experience is a set of perceptions that employees have about their experiences at work in response to their interaction with the organization. This was from IBM, and Global Force did a study and research around the human experience a while back and the employee experience. So it's really about that set of perceptions that people have about work while they're there. It's really broke down into 5 different areas. The employee experience, they said: belonging, having a sense of belonging to the organization; purpose, having a sense, of course, of purpose of what you're there for and you make a difference; achievement, that you actually accomplish things, move things forward; happiness, that you have a positive, happy experience with that work environment; and of course, vigor, both mental health and physical health, and having the strength and vigor to participate and be part of that work world. So they looked at this as the employee experience and the perceptions that people had around that to try to measure what that employee experience is. Again, like I said, when you take a look at it, purpose, belonging, vigor, achievement, and happiness, those are a human experience, but they're also, of course, can be easily transitioned to what we call life experience. They're really about life. These things we want in life as much as we want in work. So, it's really about that human experience or that life experience that drives a lot of our perceptions of our connection to our employer, the fulfillment we're getting from that, and obviously not only the retention to stick around and be part of that, but also the productivity that connects to somebody at that level. So the human experience, this is from the former CEO of Zappos, Tony Hsieh. He actually passed away within the last about 6 months or so. But he was a gentleman who took Zappos, an online initially shoe company, and turned them into a multi-billion-dollar industry. And when he looked at his work-life experience there and the people, he said, rather than focus on work-life balance, or work-life separation. I try to focus on work-life integration. When your coworkers also end up being your friends and the work you do is also work you're passionate about, then it's not so much about work versus life, it's just about life. And I really think that said a lot. He was huge on culture. For people that know Mr. Shea, I was lucky enough to hear him speak twice at different conferences I went to. And he really pushed the idea that you want to create an experience that's really about life, because work is a big part of our life. Obviously, now it's been driven even to a higher level when our work is integrated more in the home environment. And it's really a life experience that you want to look at and how you can best connect your employees to that, connect their response to that, to your organization, and really, of course, have that positive, productive feeling around that life experience. Human resource today, I do believe, there's many different challenges and many different goals that we're up against. I think we still look to attract and retain top talent for our organization. I believe that's very important. And we also look to engage employees to enhance that human experience. You really have to connect and engage them. You have to have some way of them interacting with that experience or that connection to, in this case, we're going to look at benefits, services, and environment that you have to offer. So attraction and retention is still huge. I know prior to the pandemic, retention was enormous, and I believe that it still is at a high level. There still is, of course, I'm preaching to the choir, 10,000 baby boomers a day are still retiring. And the whole idea that the talent shortage and the talent pool out there is something that we need to pay attention to. So I believe even in this new world that we're involved with, in this new normal, we do have to really stay focused on the fact that we still need to attract and retain those top people. Those people are the ones, that human capital are necessary to move the strategy ahead of whatever your organization's goals and direction that's been selected. And to do that, we have to engage them in that human experience. We're going to take a look at, like I said, as this goes on, how we can use an employee assistance program as a basis to engage them in that human or that total well-being experience. All right. Let's look at the benefits today and tomorrow. This, like I said, has already been somewhat changed, but benefits today: health insurance, life insurance, dental and vision, let's say, 401k, EAPs we put in there, flex spending accounts, and so on are kind of the benefits today. What are some of the benefits that are being driven tomorrow? And let's take a look at really how that's leaning and where that trend is going. Pet adoption and assistance is a good benefit. Especially, with the pandemic, I know a lot of the shelters and a lot of the pets were obtained, and a lot of the shelters were emptied due to the fact that people were at home and were looking for that companionship through having a dog or a cat or something similar. Telemedicine, of course, just exploded on the scene. The idea of being able to talk to your physician, through televideo, just for a telephone contact, to get some type of healthcare connection to that at that level remotely. Resilience, cognitive well-being programs, a lot around not just kind of the standardized wellness programs, but something that's really more focused on how can we be resilient during these challenging times? How can we improve our mental health, our cognitive well-being as well? Financial wellness, of course, is always in there and part of it. Child care and caregiving benefits also have been heightened with this current situation, of course. But you can get other benefits like Grubhub. Obviously, people are into a lot of delivery of services, and I think that's a benefit that could be part of tomorrow's benefit package. Then, of course, you can go on to yoga, which, of course, is done virtually. There's everything from free yoga classes online to paid virtual connections through apps or web portals that employers could sponsor or pay for certain levels of that offering. So what this means, a lot of these benefits tomorrow, they are also benefits today and been driven at a high level. If you look at them, I think they're more about life. They're more about just people in everyday life, of course, with Grubhub and yoga and so on. So I really think you see a lot of the benefits trends over the last few years to be more not just kind of the typical work situations or the employment situations, but also about our life and how we live it and the connection to it. I still want to say that benefits matter. Benefits can be used to create a better human experience, but benefits really do matter. Employees are still concerned, and I'm going to show some statistics here in a minute, but they're still very much focused on the fact of what are the benefits and services that I'm getting from this employment situation, from my connection to my employer. 42% of employees say improving their benefit package is one thing their employer could do to keep them in their jobs. That's big. It's the improvement of that benefit package. That's what we can look at, how you can connect that benefit package, in this case, to a total well-being approach, but also better connection to the employee in general. And it's the second most mentioned after increase my salary, which I know from a human resource standpoint is something that you deal with on a regular basis and is always part of working with the human capital and the salary levels that are connected to it. This one I like a lot. Workers who are extremely or very satisfied with their benefit programs are 6 times more likely to stay with their employer than those workers who are dissatisfied with their benefits program. I always say if that was just double, it would make a huge difference. People who are satisfied with their benefit programs are more likely to stay with that employer, and that retention with most employers is obviously huge. How we connect people to the benefits, how we blend those work-life benefits together is a big part of them being satisfied with their benefits. It's more about their ability to engage them, use them, and have proper expectations around those benefits that really leads to that satisfaction. Human capital, like I said, is still your competitive advantage. It's a huge part of what we have to offer to move whatever agenda we have, whatever strategy we have within that organization. I happened to hear Jack Welch speak many years ago at Radio City Music Hall in New York City. And he was somebody that, if people who know him, he was the chairman and CEO of GE during those times. He made a huge difference in their valuation and really led them to a very high level of recognition in their industry. During that presentation, he was asked, what question does he get asked most from business people? And he simply said, well, a lot of people, whether they're big businesses or small businesses, they ask me, Jack, how can I make my business successful? What can I do to make sure that my business is going to move ahead? Obviously, you figured that formula out many years ago. You're into consulting and management, improvements and so on. What is it I can do? What's the one thing I can do to make my business successful? And his answer was really, the team with the best players wins. He really then went on to show that it's really about your people. Your people are the ones that really drive your success or your competitive advantage or whatever it is within your organization, whether you're a school district or an industrial setting or some type of high-tech organization. It really comes down to that talent, those people, and that connection to that organization that drives that strategy or that agenda ahead. So it is about people when it comes to our companies, and it is about having the best players and retaining them and working with them to move your company and your strategy ahead. Here's a poll question, if we would fire it up here. I think this one here, hopefully a lot of you know this. By 2025, I'm going to move that out of the way here. By 2025, what percentage of the workforce will be made up by millennials? Let's take a run at that and see what we come up with.
We'll give it a few more seconds here for a few more votes to come in.
Sure. Please.
And I'm going to give it 5 more seconds. Thanks for your votes. And here are the results.
All right. Well, so 50% said, let me move this aside here, I'm sorry. So 50% said that was the highest. That came in at 61%, 75% at 22%. All right. Well, actually, the answer, of course, there's still some projections on how the workforce unfolds, but is around 75% of the workforce will be made up by millennials by 2025. So, and the reason for that, of course, is, of course, the mass exodus of the, more older workforce, the baby boomers, and just the influx of the younger baby boomers coming in, millennials, and the under 35 crowd coming in behind them. So it's a huge impact on the human capital. It's a huge impact on a lot of what we need to do as HR professionals and connecting to them. And it's something that is not that far, of course, around the corner. I was also at a conference, and I will say that a gentleman who was addressing this issue here about the workforce and the millennials, he held up his cell phone and he said, I don't know if people can see in the back, but he goes, if you have a workforce that's 35 and under, he said, you need to have information in your cell phone. And he said, because if it's not in their phones, it doesn't exist. A little bit of a joke, but at the same time, somewhat true. The whole idea that type of information that those millennials and that younger, I say, workforce looks for is typically in their phones. It's a huge part of their world. We all know that. It's a huge part of their informational connection. And of course, when it comes to what we do with benefits and services in the workplace, it needs to be, connected from that mobile and that way that they're comfortable with from a connection to that information. More on the human capital, the millennials' priorities. What is this under 35 crowd looking for? Well, they're looking for a work-life balance. They really want a balance between the two. To me, I can see a blending of that from a total well-being standpoint to be something that really fits with that younger under 35 workforce. 90% want work to be social and fun. And that's something that a lot of employers I see bringing in different fun events, different social events. We work with employers, they're doing a lot of stuff even virtually. They're having virtual contests on at night. They're having different fun events during the day. They're still celebrating some of their recognitions, of course, and their recognition awards virtually, and having like a virtual, celebration and party around that. So to create and continue to drive that social fun connection is a big part of meeting the needs of that 35 and under workforce. 74% are looking for flex work schedules. Of course, today with a lot of the working from home and stuff, that fits and a lot of it's there, but they're still looking for that flexibility, and a huge amount of them think that that's a big part of that blend of work and life balance, to have that flexible connection to work. Also, nearly 75% of respondents stated that employees want benefits personalized to their unique needs. This was actually through a survey that E and I worked with HR.com a number of years ago. And it really came out very strong that employees in general, and especially the millennial group, they want benefits that are personalized to them, that personalized to their unique needs. That's something that's different. Years back, of course, a lot of our benefits were generalized benefits to the entire population and not set up in a way that can address, specific needs of that individual. Excuse me. In addition, an additional 66% stated employees want benefit information tailored to their specific age and stage of life. Again, another personalization approach. Another, hey, I want benefits that address where I'm at. If I'm, 25, 35, 45, or even 55, 65, I want benefits that really address where I am from an age and stage standpoint. So that personalized approach, that benefits about me, I think that's very important. It's something that we need to focus on when we're looking to develop a total well-being program, something that's going to put out that total well-being perspective or agenda to the employees. From a human capital standpoint, of course, I want to always remind everybody, people are complex, even different ages and stages. There's so many different variables with being an individual or a person. People are complex. Life is complex. Obviously, we know that, and its complexity can change in a heartbeat. Change is the only really constant out there that I can get my hands. I know that's a slogan. However, it is true. I mean, the constant change that's exponential, it's just going faster and faster and faster, is such a big part of our life and will continue to be, both from our connection to our employer as well as our work, our home life as well. So to build a total well-being solution, I think you have to take in these variables. You have to look at this constant change component that we have and put together a total well-being solution that can address these complexities in that change. Let's look at how you might be able to architect that type of total well-being program. What can you do to put together such a total well-being program? And in this case, what we propose is to use your employee assistance program or an employee assistance program to create that better human experience. From the architect a total well-being approach to your workforce, from the beginning, when you look at EAPs, they do connect people to life services, early on, of course, and they still are today. And it's very important, connect people to behavioral health services, connect people to financial services, child elder care services, and so on. However, I think the early programs, and still a lot of today, are more reactive by design. It's kind of like, if you need an EAP service, give us a call. I think they need to be more proactive. I think to really create this well-being experience, it has to be something that's not just reactive, where you say, if you need us, give us a call, but more proactive. You can do that with information on getting proactive needs out on childcare needs. Obviously today, something that's already been pushed to a high level. The summer camps, you can proactively understand when employees with families have that need coming up. You can release information or resources around like summer camps, college finance, that type of thing. Even on disability or along those areas for healthcare. Sometimes if somebody goes out in disability, proactively reaching out with the total well-being program, reminding them that it's there and the services that it has to offer is not just a reactive approach, but more of a proactive. So I see more of that being built in. I've even seen platforms where employees with EAPs can put in a profile. And by entering that profile, the services and benefits that are connected to that can react proactively to that profile information and remind them of services that are available that are connected to their profile, send them and offer them information based on their profile, what they put in. And so it really needs to be not just sitting there waiting for us, but also reach out and be proactive for anticipating our needs from a total well-being standpoint. I put down 4 essential building blocks. I've been connected to the employee assistance program field for a long time. And there's many different ways and many different approaches that can be used to deliver an EAP, as we still call it today, or an employee assistance program. I think these are 4 essential building blocks that should be part of any well-being program that's going to address total well-being from an employee assistance standpoint. So the first one I'm going to look at is really that agile, flexible tech platform. I'm going to talk more about this and repeat some of this, but you really want to have a tech platform that is easy to change and manipulate. It's flexible to connect to many different benefits and services. And yes, I'm going to go over it in a minute too, but you really have to have technology connected to these services. And especially with today and all the HR tech that's weighed in on human resource, it's a very important part of connecting these services and creating that total well-being approach. Second one is, of course, you need a broad spectrum of benefits and services. I'm a big one that if you're going to create this total well-being experience with your EAP, you should connect your benefits and services that can support that total well-being experience. Might even be connecting your healthcare program and a lot of the services that it has to offer to your EAP. We've had that many times where people will ask questions through the employee assistance program, and there's benefits and services that can be leveraged from the healthcare program to be a part of that solution for them from a well-being standpoint. So you really need to have that broad spectrum of benefits and services, and you need to do that in a way that, you know, can blend them to create that total well-being experience. I believe too, a big part of supporting human resource, that the HR needs to have a high level of control and rapid response to change to whatever this platform is that you're using and the benefits and services that you're offering. HR needs that control. I'll talk more about it. You need to have that rapid ability to make changes as the world changes, as the technology changes, and the offering of benefits and services are always changing rapidly. So you need to be able to have that control to connect to that next best idea that can improve that total well-being approach to your people. You need to be in control to do that, have that ability to make those changes quickly. The last one, of course, which I'm sure you're aware of too, is the data analytics and innovations that can come out of that. You really need to have, and HR has done more and more of that. There's a lot more tech software around, you know, data analytics and having, you know, business intelligence. And you really need to get from that EAP and that connection, a lot of those analytics brought to you in a comprehensible manner that you can use to innovate, to change your well-being experience, to better connect it to your employee base. And so we'll talk more about these, but these are definitely some of the, I think, essential building blocks if you're going to use your EAP, you know, to create that total well-being experience for your employees. From an agile tech platform standpoint, of course, I've already mentioned it, but it really needs to be mobile first. You know, it's almost as essential today's world to really, if you're really going to engage your people at a high level, you have to have that mobile connection. Without it, it's just too hard for a lot of the individuals who are used to, like I said earlier, receiving their information through that platform to really connect with the total well-being experience that you're putting together. And in this case, with your EAP as an offering of that. So again, this agile, flexible tech platform, how do you create a total well-being experience? I think you have to integrate benefits and technology. It's a big part of my background in the last number of years, but I think you really have to use technology to blend your benefits, blend your services, put them into a total well-being offering. In this case, we're looking at an EAP as that platform or that service to do that. But blend those benefits with technology, and then of course, bring them in a way that engages your workforce so they can get the benefits and the experience of that well-being offering that you're putting together. Using benefits to retain employees is HR's top objective, surpassing their concern for controlling healthcare costs. Well, that was a couple of years ago, or maybe even last year. Again, I've been in and out of HR offices for almost 4 decades. And I did hear through most of that time period that controlling healthcare costs was really at least 1 or 2 on the list at all times. And of course, it still is today, and it still is a big factor. But using benefits to retain employees is something that is a big part of what we can do to not only retain employees, but build that total well-being experience. What those benefits are, what they address from your employee population demographics and your base is a lot of the decisions that need to be made when putting together this total well-being program. But I really think that if you're looking at this one to create the EAP as that offering, then those services and benefits need to be selected and connected in a way that leverages all their ability to bring that well-being approach or that resolution of their concerns to your employees. Nearly 75% of respondents stated their employees want benefits personalized to their unique needs. We mentioned that. Again, that 66% stated they want benefit information tailored to that. Why I brought this up again is the idea that you have to have this technology address their individual needs or a way to do that. I'm going to suggest and show one way that that can be done. There are others, but it really needs to have something in there that's about them so that when they look at it, they can say, oh, I can use these benefits and it's about me, my age, stage, whatever life event I'm in or so on. Poll question. I mentioned life event. How often do you believe that life events cause employees to seek benefit information? Let's come up with that, please.
And the votes are still coming in. We'll give it another 10 seconds or so.
Plenty of time. I think I'm going fast here. I'm ahead of schedule.
All right, and here come the results.
Oh boy, good. They're well aware of this. And yes, it's actually over 60% of the time. So most of them got it, probably 76% of the people on that end, it is. It's at least, it's over 60%. This was also part of a survey we did with HR.com and got this information from over 900 different HR professionals around the country. But the whole idea is that when people have a life event, there are many, many times, like say over 60%, 80%, when they have a question or they want to know if there's a benefit or some service that can connect to helping them with that life event or assisting them with that life event. I actually had a human resource panel that I worked with for a number of years, had about 6 HR professionals from different levels of employment and even different size employers, all the way up to some large tech companies. And it was actually with that company that I won't mention, but they said, geez, I think it's like 100% of the time. You know, it's amazing when people call me up and they have a question about benefits, they've usually had some type of life event and they want to know, they obviously they had a child or they've got married. Those are some of the, the life events that we're well aware of. But even if they, broke their glasses playing softball or they had, some incident that they're dealing with, they want to know, is there some type of service or benefit? Or I did think I heard about something when I did the orientation. Is that there? Is that available? And it's a big driver of when people have life events that they look to see if there's benefits that support that need at some level. I put this in here. This is my friend Albert Einstein here on a bad hair day, I guess, but I love this quote, and it's connected to what I'm about to show you and how you can think about using your EAP platform or a platform to develop that well-being offering for that human experience. Where he said, intelligence is not the ability to store information, but to know where to find it. And I just think that's so true. I mean, and think about this with Mr. Einstein. This was, of course, long before the internet, where we had a lot of base knowledge that we can find, and some of it not so accurate, as you well know, but at a moment's notice, a touch of the screen. But it really is, I think, more about the ability to know where to find it. And I've been around long enough with my experience. I've sat through a lot of employee orientations. I've sat through a lot of employee enrollment orientations and so on. And it's just amazing to me, of course, how little over time, especially employees and even, of course, their family members are even more removed, have a retention about their benefits and about the services that the employer is offering to create that experience for them. And in this case, looking how we can create a well-being experience. I had one of our larger customers we work with said, you know what the good news is about our benefit package? He goes, we have a lot of benefits and services to really support our people. He said, you know what the bad news is? He said, we have a lot of benefits and services to support our people. He was just clearly pointing out that collage of benefits and services that, as you know, as HR professionals, is very expensive, and we're always under pressure to, keep that expense down and make it more connected to our people. But it's hard for them to grasp it. I've had many situations. I can give an example. I've sat with human resource professionals when they were discussing the differences about their understanding of their healthcare plan, of course, which is one of the most expensive benefits that are offered, where one felt that services were in there at this level and one felt that they were at this level, and they couldn't really figure out what they were. So if it's hard for HR to absorb that information, to understand the depth of the benefits and services, just imagine the employees and their connection to that. So I really think with a well-being approach and kind of blending these benefits together, that you really can leverage and take advantage of connecting them to those list of benefits, those great services, the intentions of the employer to support their people at a much higher level. What I put in here is just a brief example. There's times when I've done online actual live demos of software, but we've all seen them a million times, and I'm not going to go that deep on. I'm just saying you can take technology and you can build your well-being platform on that. I suggest one of the ways to do that is to connect your well-being platform to life events. It's not the only way. There are several other ways, but it really personalizes it and really connects the services, in this case of an EAP and the total well-being offering, to your employees. So in here, I just put in here, if you had your different life events on here, of course, COVID-19 is on here as a definite life event that we've all been part of the last year. But if you were to click on, let's say, health and wellness, that would open up a list of categories that you would be interested in that main category. And let's say, of course, today with mental health, a lot of, I know EAPs are seeing a 20 and 30% increase in the connection to, of course, behavioral health services due to the pandemic and all the change environment and the stress that's caused. But if they were to click on health and wellness, click on mental health, and I think here's the kind of the magic is in it. Through life events says, here's the benefits related to mental health that are connected to your total well-being offering or your EAP offering. That's that platform. Here's the benefits that can support that life event that you've selected and that you're looking at. I just think it's a way that they don't have to try to retain all that benefit knowledge, but they can look at this type of information and say, oh, geez, okay, I could use my health advocacy service. I could use my work-life service that's a virtual concierge that help me look for gyms or whatever. I could even use the wellness services that are connected there. And then, of course, I say it's very simple through just a short text is tell the employees how these services support that life event. The life event also drives that individual personalization too. So if you're 35 and you have a certain life event, it should drive the connection to the benefits that can support that life event. If you're 55 and have a certain life event, then those services should be specific on how they can address your life event. So it really personalizes and brings it into, especially for that millennial crowd, a lot of what they're looking for are the benefits about me and the benefits about my life and where I am at that time. Agile, flexible platform, benefits and technology. It should solve the challenges of your workforce, and you should be doing your data analytics and stuff to look at what are your challenges of your specific demographics of your workforce. I think in this case, we're looking at the EAP as that platform. They should be working with you to do those data analytics, look at that to see what your challenges are, connect your employees to the company culture. I think that's very important. Culture really drives a lot of what strategy is laid out for employees. So those employees need to be connected to it that way. Embrace them on an individual basis. I just talked about that. That's very important. And of course, I think the user interface platform should remain constant. Again, with my experience, and I'm not going to get into a long drawn out examples of this, but I've seen many times when employers in the HR industry have brought in platforms to connect benefits and services to their employee base and put a lot of time, money into the build and roll out of that platform. And then at some point down the road, 3 years later, they they change that platform and they start over again. Now there's a whole new user interface and a user connection to the navigation of that. And it creates a lot of, I'm just going to say for short, friction among the employee population, again, to better connect and understand that offering. So I'm a big, what I consult with a lot of our employers is, get a platform that is consistent, that you can plug and play those services into. I'll show an example in a minute of what I mean by that. So if you have a broad spectrum of benefits and services, take your tech platform. In this case, if it's your EAP, of course, it needs to be mobile, and connect those benefits and services to that platform. It can be all the stuff we talked about: telemedicine, resilience, financial, Grubhub, virtual concierge. And if you do put yoga classes in there, virtual or not, connect it right to that platform. That centralized, integrated approach really makes and creates, I think, that well-being approach to the people so they can leverage all those benefits and services. Sometimes it's that, knowing where to find that information. Well, it's all in one spot. It's all integrated and connected to our, I'll say in this case, our app tech platform. HR control and rapid response. I'm not going to spend a lot of time in depth on here, but I think human resource, you should have software administrative capabilities over that platform that you use. And in this case, your total well-being platform for your EAP. You should be able to go in and make changes at some level and actually address and upload and download different information onto that platform. You should be able to get real-time reports and analytics right off that platform, not have to wait for the vendor to respond to you on that. You should be able to direct HR notifications. I have to give a quick example because it was, of course, a lot of our school districts in the country are, in a real difficult situation and making a lot of very difficult choices. I talked to one human resource C-suite level individual, and she said she was having a hard time with the remote, faculty and staff connecting to their non-exempt employees. They weren't connected to their email as much as the faculty was, or the teaching level of their positions. So really, the idea is she was looking for a way to have a native app or an app to be able to send messages, because even all her non-exempt and all her exempt employees all have smartphones for the most part. The technology maybe from a portal standpoint at home for the email and stuff, of course, all the barrage of emails we get. She was really looking for a way to say, I want to send messages to these people about our support, about our services through a native app platform, and have them get that notification. So again, you should have that type of control and that type of response. And of course, whatever vendor you're working with, they should offer tech services to help make that change to that platform, put you in control, and have you be able to rapidly respond, upload, download new services or programs to it. Data analytics, I know a lot of you are dealing with this more and more today from an HR standpoint. It's obviously, kind of exploded in the field, which it should. Get some good business intelligence about, your human resource and their connection to your total well-being program can really drive a lot of the recommendations that you can do to better that platform, better that well-being experience from an HR standpoint. And your vendor should be bringing you suggestions of innovations based on that data driven analysis from your connection and engagement of your total well-being platform. Oh, just a fun thing to bring everybody's attention back here. I did this a few months ago when I did one of these. What is this a picture of? I want to do just a little quick polling on it for fun at the end here before I wrap up, see if there's any questions. Is it the Olympic Stadium, Spain, Capitol Records Building, Roanoke, Virginia, Apple Headquarters, Cupertino, California, or Sunrise Hotel, Beijing? I'm sure at this point in the day on the East Coast anyway, everybody's like, oh no, it's almost 5. I don't know.
Just a few more seconds here.
Yeah, that's okay.
And in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh, wow, look at that. 52% got it right. It's the Apple headquarters in Cupertino, California. Very good. Thank you. Um, yes, it's actually empty right now. Of course, that doesn't surprise any of us, but I have to say it. They paid over $5 billion for it. I think they just moved in within the last 2 years. And of course, like a vast part of us individually and America, they're not in the office. I guess I bring it up to, it's a fun thing at the end here for just to, have some entertainment value. But, of course, technology is such a big industry in our country. It drives a lot of the trends and stuff. And I believe that when these tech giants like Apple, Microsoft, Google and so on, Intel, when they decide, or whatever their situation is of returning to a in office location, I think it'll drive a lot of the decisions of, what level and what blending of that will be offered, following the kind of the downturn in the pandemic. So, but yes, right now that $5 billion building probably has a lot of space that they could use. So, okay, just to wrap it up here, from your human capital, remember it's your competitive advantage. Again, I always look at people are very complex, life is, and change is the only constant. So again, if you're going to use your EAP to create that total well-being approach with those benefits and technology, remember that it's going to constantly change. It needs to be agile, flexible, and be able to have HR be in control of a lot of affecting that change on that platform. EAP and technology, your total well-being platform, it should be that powerful, user-friendly technology, integral part of a positive well-being experience. The EAP technology your business adapts must be employee-centric. We've talked a lot about that, but it's got to be about the people. It's got to be about your demographics for it to really be engaged by them and create such a well-being approach. Of course, it must be mobile. I mentioned that a few times, and provide a rapid plug and play approach. That's that agile part. You want to be able to unplug benefits and services and plug in new ones into that platform that maintains that user experience over a period of time. You don't want to create friction by throwing I can give examples, but I usually don't because it's about different industry platforms, but you don't want to get a platform, get it working, and then toss it out and bring in a new one. I've just seen it too long where people are like, oh, I used to like what they had. Now I can't find anything. So of course it's about people and productivity. And I know I'm preaching to the choir. You are in a very important role as HR, especially with this new normal and all the challenge we have. People and productivity are a big part of what you can impact and have a approach to that brings a well-being experience to those individuals. So total well-being for a better human experience, reimagine your EAP to attract and retain that top talent by building an engaging total well-being experience for your people. You really can take that platform, look at your organization, look at your benefits and services, look at their needs, especially today with all the change and stuff, and put that platform together that'll create that well-being experience. There, I think I'm on time. Thank you. That was very good. It's 5 of or 6 of. So if there's any questions, I can try to give you some more information. And I appreciate your attention, especially on the East Coast where it's almost 5. And I know the home environment probably starts changing about then. Thank you. Thank you.
So there is one question in the Q&A tab.
Oh, I missed it then. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, and Susan is asking, sorry if I missed this, what does ENI stand for? I know it's in lowercase. Interesting. Thank you.
It actually stands for Employee Network Incorporated. But over the years, our customers started calling us ENI. So, oh boy, now you're challenged. Probably 15 years ago, we went to ENI, but we still have on most of our legal documentations Employee Network Inc. So, it's thank you. What else? It's getting close to dinner time, right? Some of you.
Okay, here's a question from Erwin. Do you foresee a future company benefit by providing employees with a reloadable debit gift card to shop online and or other retailers such as Walmart, Target, Amazon, or grocery stores?
Absolutely, a reloadable card that can be used for some of those retailers that were mentioned. Absolutely, I've actually seen, and we've worked with companies. I'm not sure it's exactly what you're saying, but as a recognition approach, that if they, achieve certain, awards or levels of recognition within the organization, that they'll take such a card and load that up that can be used for Amazon or other retailers. Even in today's tech world, of course, a lot of those can be sent over. I don't know if you can see my phone, but over the mobile connection, and they can actually get barcodes that they can use in a lot of those retail stores to obtain that type of retail purchase from those areas. So absolutely, I think that's a big part of it. Yeah, it's more and more of a life type situation, like we mentioned about.
Super. Peter is saying, excellent presentation. How do you balance employee well-being and discipline?
That's a different one. Employee well-being and discipline. Well, I don't know. And I do work with the HR people. We even have with the EAP, you have even last chance agreements and stuff. I would say that a company still needs a good, clear, solid policy on their approach to discipline and expectations. I think it can be part of a well-being program when you have such a situation where you need to affect your policy. I think you can connect that to some of the services that assist the employee with what they're having difficulty with through that total well-being platform. I'll be honest, I haven't seen that connection, but again, that's that whole idea of innovation and wide open. You could have it so on there that if you were involved with a life event, including discipline with your organization, and here's the benefits and services that might be of assistance to you during those times. So, but that's a very good question, and I think it should be holistic. You should look at all the aspects of how to connect these benefits and services to your people.
I really like the word expectations.
Mm-hmm.
I think that plays a big part in it.
Sure.
I'm not seeing any more questions come in.
All right. Well, good. I think we're right on time. You usually don't take any penalty for ending early, right?
That's right. That's right. So with that, I'm going to put a link in the chat for the attendees to get to the post webcast survey.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And why is that not popping in there? There we go. Okay. And with that, I would really like on behalf of HR.com to thank our sponsor, E&I, and our presenter, Jean Raimondi. And a big thank you to the audience for participating. We will be sending you an email with your credit information within 24 hours. You'll also find the credits in your View My Credits page of your HR.com membership profile once the webcast has been archived. Your feedback is important to us, so please take a moment to fill in that exit survey that I put the link up for. It'll also open in a new browser window on your computer. And this concludes our webcast and our event for the day. Please join us tomorrow again and have a good evening.
All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Bye.
Yeah, bye now.